What's going on, everybody? I'm Zack Peter, host of Hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. Thank you for tuning in today. If you haven't hit that subscribe button on YouTube, please do it because I love that validation. If you aren't subscribed on iTunes or Spotify, please do so. Leave me a 5-star review because I love that validation. And I think I'm going to be doing some shout outs for people that leave reviews next week. So be sure to tune in. If you haven't done so yet, get my new Housewives Watch and Wine right here. Or actually right there, nofilterwine.com, nofilterwine.com. It's a light, crisp rosé, 12.8% alcohol, but less than a gram of sugar. So you're going to be Liddy City all summer long. So be sure to order some No Filter Rosé, my Housewives Watching Wine. I do have a Beverly Hills inspired one that says, I stole Kim's goddamn house. I mean, and for all we know, maybe Tom Girardi stole that too. Allegedly. Nofilterwine.com. So we do have some new tea. So a couple days ago, Demois, which is an Instagram account on Instagram, they normally take like anonymous tips. I don't always love them as like the most valid source because anybody can basically DM them or email them into their tip line and tell them anything and they'll repost it and we take it as gospel. And I know there have been a couple of instances where they haven't been entirely accurate, but I think they're pretty open about saying like we repost the anonymous tips that come into us. We don't verify them, but that's why anytime something comes out via Demois, I always take it with a grain of salt. However, I love when we have photos and when we have receipts and when we have multiple sources that corroborate certain tea that gets broken, such as this new tea that has been broken with Mr. Tom Girardi. So Mr. Tom Girardi has basically been in hiding for the past several months, ever since the scandal blew up last fall, right after Erika filed for divorce, and then he was hit with the slew of lawsuits and the slew of like bad media and press, and the LA Times was doing exposés on him and Erika. Now we have the Hulu documentary that came out, The Housewife and the Hustler. So he's been laying pretty low. We did see him appear in court. I know him and Erika have been avoiding going into court or appearing in court over the past couple of months, but he recently made an appearance in court basically saying that he doesn't want to be in the under conservatorship anymore, that he feels like he is of sound mind. Some people are speculating that maybe he's doing this as some sort of tactic to prove that he really has gone a little, like he's losing his mind a little bit. I've done really deep dives into the whole Girardi scandal. So if you want like the more in-depth videos with all the contextual information, all the background information, you can go on my YouTube channel. There's a whole playlist. I think it's called the Deep Dive Archive, where you can watch all of those videos. And you can watch them in order and watch the stories as they were breaking. So I won't get into all the details of the Girardi scandal and the lawsuits that have come forth. I will just talk about the new cheating allegations that have been brought against Tom Girardi. So Demois, they posted some photos of Tom Girardi out with the mystery blonde woman. Her face was blurred out. As you can see, so this is taking place at Stony Point Bar and Grill, which is really a hole in the wall in Pasadena. I was a little shocked by the fact that somebody that follows Demois was even at this Stony Point Bar and Grill, because again, it is a little hole in the wall. It's on Colorado, and Colorado is kind of like the main street in Pasadena. It's where Old Town Pasadena is, but this is like way off the main strip. It's like a hidden little spot right like on the side of the freeway. So I was a little shocked to see that this is apparently like his regular watering hole, that he's a frequent customer at this spot. It didn't look like anything special, but in that area, I guess a lot of like businessmen, it seems like a spot that they would go to for drinks. Again, it's not in the main strip, but I think the main strip is where people would go like out to eat or go shopping, more of like a younger crowd. This seems like more of the area and the location of it seemed like more of like the business crowd would be stopping into a point like this to grab a drink, to grab a glass of wine, maybe to meet a couple of clients. Whatever. Seems like his vibe. You know, it seems a little slower paced and, you know, sure. I was surprised that he was even spotted out. I would feel like he's been so hidden under the radar and he's been avoiding people and avoiding making any public statements, especially because you're under conservator for allegedly having dementia and Alzheimer's. And so I would just assume somebody that is that far into their Alzheimer's and dementia, as is being claimed, You would think if they need like a conservatorship, if Britney Spears can't go out and have a damn drink at Stony Point Bar and Grill, how is Tom Girardi out having a drink at Stony Bar and Grill? Like Stony Point Bar and Grill. Like, how is that even a possibility for Tom Girardi? Like, Jamie Spears needs to go and handle that situation, okay? Because we need to free Britney, and he needs to go take care of Tom Girardi because Tom Girardi needs it. Well, apparently, according to his latest testimony in the court, he doesn't want to either. He is like, if we're going to free Britney, let's free me too. Oh, bad choice of words. Bad choice of words. That whole last sentence, as it all kind of clicked in all the pieces, all the words. No. But so he's seen out to lunch with this mystery blonde woman, wine in hand. They each have a glass of red wine. Again, if you have Alzheimer's and dementia, I don't expect you to be out having, like, you're allowed to go out socially. I don't know if alcohol is the best thing. I mean, I guess, there's the whole resveratrol and red wine that, we think it's good for it could be good for mental health. I don't know. This just seems fishy. One, that he's out. The woman has now been identified as his travel agent. Other witnesses that were at the restaurant are basically saying that it looked like it was a date. They were a little touchy. They definitely had like a date vibe. Like, you expected this to be a woman that was seen out with an older man because she was interested in his money. At this point, I feel like she should know Tom Girardi doesn't really have any more money because he testified to the fact that he doesn't have any more money. Not only that, but he has a slew of lawsuits, a slew of victims that he's bamboozled over the years, allegedly. And so now it's like, why? Like, what is the clout in dating Tom Girardi? I don't think he's that great and bad. Like, clearly he needs Viagra because he's of age at this point. As Garcelle said. I mean, maybe that what Garcelle said on last week's episode of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, where she's like, shouldn't Erika just wait? Maybe she should just wait. Maybe that's what this new travel agent chick is hoping to do. Some people are like, why is he going out with the travel agent? Is he planning a trip somewhere? Is he going to flee the country? I don't know if it's that deep. It really looks like he was just like, let me sneak out to my little old watering hole, go out on a little date. Who's really going to find me? And I was even kind of like, who was really going to find him? How many people that follow Demois were having lunch or drinks at Stony Point and then were able to send those photos into Demois? Like, that just sounded a little like, that seems just really random. And for all we know, maybe he has snuck out of the house, when he needed to get, or allegedly needed to get the house burglarized. Not making any accusations, just making a joke. When the house got burglarized, he needed to go somewhere, right? He needed to not be home. Maybe Erika drove him to Stony Point to have a drink at that point. Never know. Anyway, this woman is apparently his travel agent. I'm a little confused about who she actually is, because I feel like at this point, if people were able to identify her as his travel agent, I feel like at some point we would know what the travel agency is, what her name is, how they knew that this was Tom's travel agent. I mean, I guess it is possible that some of the witnesses maybe talked to some of the wait staff and were like, hey, who is that woman that is that Tom Girardi? Who's the woman that he's with? Apparently, according to the witnesses, per Demois, he goes there often and he has met up with her often, associate, colleague, however you want to identify her as her role in his life. But this isn't the first time that we've seen her. So there have been two other instances. Obviously, we know about the whole Justice Trisha A. Bigelow, who Erika blasted on her Instagram account a few months ago, saying that this is the woman that Tom was sleeping with and funding her plastic surgery. Nothing against Trisha A. Bigelow. Like, let's just be honest. Trisha A. Bigelow seems like a fine woman. Apparently, her and Tom also hosted a radio show together back in the day. But you compare Trisha A. Bigelow to like Erika Girardi and even this travel agent who's seemingly a younger, I mean, she's definitely younger than Tom Girardi. I think most people are younger than Tom Girardi, TBH. But seemingly much younger, blonde, seemingly very well in shape. Like, seems like he has a type that Trisha A. Bigelow, I don't know how she really fit into that type. She just seems a little bit older and like, I don't know what his type is. I mean, clearly he just likes anybody that's willing to bang him. And I feel like with his money, he shouldn't have to work that hard. But I guess, some of the ladies here in LA got standards or morals. Except everyone, apparently, except for his travel agent, because she's dating him despite all the scandal. But I guess she's like, I've known you. I love you. You're promising me money in the end of the day, maybe. Who knows? But anyway, so there have, aside from the Trisha A. Bigelow incident, which I'm hoping we really get to see blow up on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, that should be coming in the next couple of weeks because it came a few weeks after the divorce rumors. It was the divorce, and then it was the scandal where they accused this of being a sham divorce, and then that's when the whole scandal really blew up, which will be seen unfold in the coming weeks on Beverly Hills. But then it was shortly after that Erika posted about Trisha A. Bigelow and posted the screenshots, which shows that there was a pattern of cheating. That was, possibly even up to a decade ago. We don't have official timestamps as of when the Trisha A. Bigelow texts were happening, but that is an older phone. It was a long time ago. But so this other blonde woman, so we have two other accounts that were reported where we saw, it's not confirmed that this is the same woman. However, she seems the same. She has a very similar hairstyle. She was also referred to as a colleague or associate. And the first time we see Tom with a mystery blonde was back in February of 2017. It was February 26th. He was at the Polo Lounge. And there are photos. There are these actual photos of him with this mystery woman. Her face is again blurred. I find that kind of interesting that we have him going out with a very similar looking person. Face is always blurred. We still haven't been able to pinpoint who she is. We still haven't been able to identify exactly who she is. And there's always like just these random eyewitnesses that see them together, happen to catch these like blurry photos of them from a distance. I understand the photo coming out now at Stony Point only because like there's the scandal and obviously people know him because of the Hulu documentary and the LA Times article, and he's all over the place. Like people that don't even follow Real Housewives can now see him. So back to the Polo Lounge incident. That was at the end of February in 2017, which is when Erika was doing rehearsals for Dancing with the Stars. And so according to that eyewitness, they claimed that she put his hand on his stomach and that he had his arm around her, that they were very cozy together. They stopped him and were like, "Hi, Tom, are you Tom Girardi? Where's your wife, Erika?" He claimed that Erika was at rehearsals for Dancing with the Stars, and then him and this mystery woman got in a car together and drove off. Is it possible that she's an associate? Sure. The fact that they were touchy-feely, the fact that we have these random blurry photos, interesting. Like something about it just feels a little fishy-ish. But then we see this woman resurface again, or the seemingly similar-looking person resurface again in January of 2020, New Year's Eve. We see Tom photographed with a mystery blonde woman, face blurred out. We don't really know who she is. We just see him out and it looks like he could possibly be cheating on Erika. And that was the story that broke back in 2017. It came out via OK Magazine. I believe it broke in like early March, a couple of days after he was spotted at the Polo Lounge. So 3 different instances now. To me, based off of all of the photos with her face blurred out, it seems like it's very possible that this is the same woman. Maybe they've been friendly. Maybe he really has been having an affair all of these years. Maybe him and Erika have some sort of open arrangement. I know we broke on this channel a few months ago the rumors about Erika potentially having a fling or like casually seeing Scooter Braun. They allegedly met at a sex club. That was also reported by Demois and had sources that came out and supported that claim. I believe Dana Wilkie is also really trying to push that as well. Dana Wilkie is very heavily invested in the Erika Girardi case and breaks it down often on her podcast. I don't know. This woman definitely seems like she's someone that's been around the block with Tom Girardi for a while. I just find it interesting that 1, her face is always blurred. 2, we don't really know who she is. I tried digging up these articles. So I remember the photo and the article that came out, and I couldn't remember which blog had released that or if it was just something that came up on social media, but I tried to dig it up to find those photos. I have the photos from Stony Point, and I have the photos from the Polo Lounge. I wasn't able to locate the New Year's Eve photos. And I wasn't even able to locate the original OK Magazine article. The only reason I know OK was the original media outlet that published it, which was bigger than some of the other blogs that covered it. But the smaller blogs attributed these quotes and these photos to OK Magazine, which is the only way I knew that that was where the story had originated from. But when I went to OK Magazine, when I tried to search for Tom Girardi, when I even tried to go through just Google News, I wasn't able to locate that original article, which I found a little suspicious. Like all of the details, like it seems to paint a narrative that Tom has been cheating for a really long time. This story broke originally in 2017, but something about it just feels a little contrived, possibly, or maybe I'm just like really looking into it. I wasn't able to even locate the photo, and I remember the story being New Year's Eve, Tom spotted out with a mystery blonde woman, and there was a photo. It was like at a club or something, or maybe it was like a restaurant, but it didn't look like the Polo Lounge, and it doesn't look like the photos that we have from the Polo Lounge. I remember what it looked like, and so I couldn't remember if it was something that maybe was on social media, like on Instagram, and maybe it was an Instagram account. So if anybody knows, if they remember that story or those photos, and they remember what account that was attributed to, if you're able to find those, please help me dig those up, because I checked Twitter, I checked Google. I wasn't able to find anything about the New Year's Eve mystery blonde, but I remember that coming out. And then the other story was from 2017. So that was what, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That was 4 years ago. So this has been around for a minute. And then we have Trisha A. Bigelow. So it seems like Tom definitely loved to fund younger women's lavish lifestyles. He loved to impress them with money. Obviously, he loved to flaunt Erika around. He would often do it at different, galas and events that he would have her come to, or have her music videos screened when he had stage time. Instead of taking the stage, he would just screen her very sexy music videos, very provocative music videos. So if anybody's able to help find these New Year's Eve photos, let's do some digging. Let's figure it out. But it seems like Tom Girardi has been, I feel like if he were cheating though, and we've been able to catch them in these 3 incidents with this same blonde woman, possibly, how is it that these are the only 3 incidents over the past 4 years? That to me just seems fishy. I also feel like it's fishy that he was spotted out on a lunch date drinking wine while he's apparently, struggling from Alzheimer's and dementia. I would feel like once you're at that point, if you're that late stage to where you're not of sound mind anymore, 1, you wouldn't really be able to testify, and 2, the way that he did recently, and 2, taking a social call like that just doesn't seem like it really fits the bill. And who authorized that? Who approved that? Who picked him up? Did she pick him up? Did he call, an Uber? How did we get to Stony Point? Because, I guess he lives in Pasadena, so it's not that far from where he actually lives. But, Tom Girardi's not going on a little walk with a walker trying to get there. He obviously, someone either drove him, or I don't think he's driving. Erika has her Range Rover. Maybe she gave him a lift. Who knows? But that's where we stand. Let me know what you think. Is Tom Girardi has he been cheating on Erika? What do you think of her claims this week that he was mentally, emotionally, and verbally abusive, and that we obviously saw flashbacks. I talked about this on my Instagram live this week at No Filter with Zack. The recap is posted on the feed if you want to catch that. But I talked about it more in depth there, that I found it interesting that production and the editors were actually willing to air some of that old footage, because it looked like in previous episodes they weren't really having Erika's back, and they were showing all of her jewelry, they were showing all of her assets. They played "It's expensive to be me, it's expensive to be me" in her transition credit. It all seemed very shady up until we got to this episode where she finally starts talking, and then they start showing clips that actually corroborate the narrative that she's trying to paint. So, I don't think Bravo can be protecting her and not protecting her at the same time. I think they're probably maybe trying to stay objective, but it seemed like in previous episodes they were shading her a lot, and now in this episode it seems like it's the opposite tone, and they're actually coming around to showing her side of things. We'll see how it all plays out. Let me know what you think. New episode will be dropping this upcoming Monday. I have the Sasha from the Bravo Breakdown that's going to be on the show. Got lots of tea to cover. Let me know if you have any juicy stories that you want us to cover this upcoming Monday. Maybe we'll talk about Brittany. I was thinking about maybe inviting Emily D. Baker back on the show. Let me know what you guys think. Please give me a subscribe and a follow at Just Plain Zack to follow my personal account, or at No Filter with Zack to follow our show account, and get my Housewives Watching Wine on sale now at nofilterwine.com. Ciao.